What triggered you to go into that other content, which has taken you to another level?
So it all started, man, when I saw a story. I think it was about a pedophile, and the sentence was just nothing. Like, he got nothing for what he did, and it was a heinous crime. And I just remember saying, I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I did, and it went ballistic. People were like, oh my God, because no one watches the news after COVID, and that's something I forgot about. Like, people strayed so far away from mainstream media because they lost trust in the system. So then when I saw this story, I'm like, I got to talk about it. Like, it just felt right to speak about it. And it blew up, right? And then I saw another story a few days later, and the reason why I touched on this is because one of my clients, so it was a domestic violence case, and he had really hurt this lady, right? But again, got next to nothing for it. So then I spoke on it because one of my clients had lived 25 years of domestic violence and survived. Like, she was nearly stabbed to death. And I was like, I have helped a lady get through the trauma of abuse. I understand how they feel. So I did another video on that, and it blew up. And then from there, a lot of the ex-military dudes I speak to, they say, you're great at pattern recognition. So I started noticing trends, and I was like, okay, well, they're very soft on these people. They're very hard on these people. And then I looked at the bigger picture as like, okay, well, the people they're soft on are the ones that actually are getting some pull from the government, or they're coming in easier. And the people that are already here get smashed. And then I leaned into that, and people were like, oh, like, they started joining the dots together with my content. And from there, man, I've just kept going. And the way that I see it as well, one of my mentors taught me this. He said, everything that you speak about gets an emotional response. And that's why people engage with it. And I never did this for rage bait, right? I never did. If I wanted to rage bait, I could say some really dumb stuff. Like, instead, like, I speak my mind. It's authentic. It's true. And after he said that to me, I started to think about it when I was scrolling through and I saw a news story. If something popped up and I was like, oh, that made me mad, I'd do a story on it. And then I'd realize, like, this is what's happening. But what it actually has done, which is amazing, is it's woken up a large population, like a large part of the population, I should say. Because I've had mums message me saying 3 years ago, I would have never listened to you. But now they see the environment of Australia changing, and they're like, he's right.
Sadly, you've got no end of content now.
Which is
every day.
That's horrific, though,
just
right?
Shit.
Which is horrible. Like, I wish there wasn't, man. And I think it's funny, like Sam and I, we do talk here and there. I always say it's like a good cop, bad cop. So my content's like, wake up, motherfucker, something is wrong.
Yeah.
And then people stumble over Sam, and you get his cool, calm, pretty face, and he's talking for 3 minutes calmly about how
he's getting
angry,
pissed off,
which is good. It's good. It's good to see. I always say, I'm like, yes, you're getting angry. You're swearing at him. You're calling them names. Good, But it's true, man, because it's like you need that thing, the circuit breaker, to say, like, wake up, something's wrong, like, snap out of your days. And then you stumble over someone like Sam, and it's like, these are the things we should be doing here. And people are like,
and he's military, right? Ex-military.
That's right.
And you can't argue with a veteran, right? He's got the right.
That's exactly right.
He's got the right to speak up and say whatever he wants.
Exactly right, man. And you know what's interesting as well? So something that I always say is that people like Sam, so ex-military, they've seen violence. They've seen societies collapse, right? They've seen things go diabolically wrong. They've lost friends, the whole lot. So if anyone could talk about it, it's them. But on the flip side of that coin, and this is what I try and stress to so many people, if you lived a suboptimal life in the underworld prior to changing for good, you've also probably seen violence. You've also seen how the system works. You know that the system is corrupt as well, but from the other end. So when you have a multifaceted attack of people coming from whatever walk of life you've once been at, saying this system's broken, people start listening. Like, there's this guy that he's recently come out of jail, lived a life of crime, right? And he's now coming out telling everyone it's the wrong thing to do. And he's blown up because they see that he's had a history, and he's here saying it's not life. And he agrees with my message.
It's real experience.
He said to me the other day, he goes, I should have been deported. He goes, my family came here, they're Islander. He said, my family came here, gave me the best opportunity of life, and I spat in their face. So now it's my opportunity to right my wrongs. So it's amazing how there are all these people now coming up in social media wanting the better for Australia, which is great.
We had Tommy Robinson on the show, and it was one of our biggest podcasts for obvious reasons, because Tommy's a interesting guy, very, very passionate. And we ended up in London, as we were talking about off camera.
Yep.
And Perry, who's in the studio today, he and I and another guy were at the front of that crowd with 1 million people marching. And it was really profound for me personally. And through this COVID thing and through my own life journey, I kind of feel like it's not just a political thing anymore. I think people now, it's becoming a spiritual thing.
It is.
And I was there and there was 1 million people, and I can't explain the energy that was there. It was not left and right. It was not politics. There's a spiritual war, in my opinion, going on.
Yeah, you're right.
You're a spiritual man.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a bit about your spirituality, your belief in God, and whether that is driving you, how much of that is driving you? Because the cynics would say he's just a guy trying to get clicks. And I'm like, nah, the reason I asked you in is because I could feel under there's something much more profound and personal driving this.
Yeah, 100%. So look, I was baptized as a baby, Orthodox, but I never was a practicing Christian ever, right? And the reason why I've started to lean back into it seems to be everyone's turning point, was Charlie Kirk dying.
100%.
Mate, after Charlie Kirk was killed, people buying Bibles went through the roof. Like, man, I've got hardened ex-Special Forces dudes that I speak to. One of them messaged me the day it happened. He said, I just bought a Bible. He goes, I don't know what it is. And I think for me, prior to him, I was sort of leaning back into it. Like, I had this weird feeling probably in April, May. I was like, I'm going to buy a Bible and just start reading it. No idea why. Never in my life before.
You were not a Christian before then?
Not practicing, man.
Right.
Not at all.
Okay.
There was no, like, I would never pray. Like, my partner's family would say grace. That's about as far as it went for me.
Okay.
Right. And I just had this urge. I was like, I'm going to buy a Bible. And then as the journey's gone, like now every morning, man, with my morning routine, I will read 2, 3, 4 pages of the Bible. I'll pray, say my gratitudes, intentions, whatever for the day. That's my life now, right? And I went back and got rebaptized, and a lot of people say, oh, you're born again Christian, you're not doing anything properly. And it's like, to me, I don't care about all that stuff.
Yeah,
if they want to create divide within the Christian community, you do you. For me, it was my way of saying to God, or even my own acknowledgement, is that I've left the old me behind and I've washed it all away. And I'm going to now live life as best as I can, following his guide. So for me, the driving factor behind it, and my message, it's all God now, man. Like, I think back to 2 years ago, if I was sending a message and I was getting active death threats, I probably would just back out. Now I just give it to God. I'm like, man, what's meant to be will be. Like, I say my truth, although some people do misconstrue the message. I say what I believe to be true. Yeah. And I feel as though many people are doing the same thing now. So they're finding God and they're just allowing him to take the wheel. They're just accelerating. And it's really interesting. Like, the people that I've met through my journey to finding God in this past year, they are great individuals, man. They are real people that really care. They're genuine. They're loving. They're full of respect, and they're understanding. Like, I feel as though, coming back to the whole spiritual warfare thing that you're getting at, Christianity has been so heavily boo-hooed and watered down, and people believe that Christians need to be tolerant of everything. Like, you look at the LGBT movement, we don't have to be tolerant. Like, Christianity is not about tolerance at its core in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's about standing true to your morals and living a good life. Yeah, you love and understand thy neighbor, but it doesn't mean you bow down for someone to walk all over you. And I think there's this Irish guy. It was a great reel. It's gone ridiculously viral. He was filming himself outside of a church in Ireland or Scotland maybe. And he was saying, everyone thinks that being Christian is like being the Ned Flanders of the world now, because we've been so heavily programmed to think that you're weird, and even my wife made this great point to me the other day. She goes, no one bats an eyelid if you bender from Friday to Sunday. No one bats an eyelid if you drink every day. No one bats an eyelid if you break laws. But if you start going to church on a Sunday, you're the weird one. Do you know what I mean?
Australia, you're the weird one if you don't drink. You're the weird one if you're, not addicted to sport and whatever.
Exactly right, man. So, but yeah, back to the spiritual warfare thing. It is, man. It well and truly is. They've watered down Christianity to a massive point where Christians believe that they have to accept everything and anything that people throw at them.
And who is they, Chris, in your mind?
I'd probably call they... You see, it's hard to say the government. It's the people that control the government, and people are going to say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Well, you look at, like, we could call them the deep state. You could call them whatever you want to say.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, World Economic Forum, whatever you want to call them, because there is a trend around the whole of the West. So it's not just the Australian government, it's whoever's pulling the strings. And by watering down society or Christianity, you're easier to control. So even let's go back to what I'm like well-knowledged or well-versed in, I should say, the drop of testosterone level in men through foods, through microplastics, through alcohol consumption. What happens when a man has no testosterone? They're inherently more feminine. What happens when they're more feminine? They're less likely to stand up.